So you just got a new gimbal, you want to learn how to get those cinematic shots to enhance your films. Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do that. So stay tuned. Purchasing your first gimbal is one of the best feelings and the best investment you'll ever make. I remember when I got my first gimbal, I have it set it right there, and it was one of the best feelings knowing that my shots are now going to be smooth, clean, and cinematic. And also the DJI Ronin S wasn't the first gimbal I purchased. I actually purchased the Flycam something, I don't know what it's called. I got it from Amazon. It was 200 bucks. It was when like glide cams were popular and they were like trending, like every like filmmaker was using it. I actually knew that glide cam from Parker Wabick from Full-Time Filmmaker. He recommended that you get started with a glide cam, a steady cam, learn that and get comfortable with it, and then go from a glide cam to a DJI Ronin S or a gimbal. So that way you could operate like those two different stabilizers. So I don't even use my glide cam anymore. It's just sitting in my shed with all my other gears. It's all dusted. I think I haven't used it in like 2 years or maybe a year and a half. And I use my DJI Ronin S now. Movement number 1 is the Dolly In. So this is a very basic movement and it's commonly used in those cinematic films or Hollywood films. On every video, you're gonna see a movement like this, a Dolly In, because it's just a very basic movement. There's not a lot to it. It can definitely enhance your films or your videos instead of having just a static tripod shot. Just by adding this push-in movement, it could definitely make your shot or your video 10 times better. And it's pretty like straightforward. All you gotta do is just have your gimbal forward. Make sure you do your ninja walk and you just walk forward slowly. You could either walk slowly, run faster. You could even use this on a drone. You could go handheld, whatever you want. This is a very basic movement that anybody could do. Movement number 2 is the Dolly Out. This is the complete opposite of the Dolly In. You just push back, and this shot is mainly used to show the scenery or to show like, you know, the environment. So you were like close by with a subject or a talent, like super close, and then you like slowly push back, showing like where that talent is in the environment, whether you want to show like a building, a forest, or a studio or something, whatever that may be. This is the complete opposite. Instead of like showcasing the scenery, or actually it just depends however you want to use it. You could use it however you want. That's the greatest thing about like filmmaking. You could get creative, you could have your own meanings. You know, rules are meant to be broken, so as long as you have a valid point or a valid reason why you're choosing this specific movement or this shot, then honestly like it's fine. Like that's why like it's all about creativity and having your own purpose to this movement. Movement number 3 is the low angle. I love using this shot to get a whole new perspective. You know, I usually like to get like plants or flowers, or maybe like people walking, like filming their shoes, or I also like to get cars or just stuff like that. Like it gives a whole new perspective. Also, if you're filming a talent and you film from a low angle shot, it makes the talent way bigger, way more dominant. You know, it's all about angles in filmmaking or cinematography. You know, if you shoot at low angle, it'll make the person bigger, more dominant, more powerful, more angry, more aggressive and stuff like that. It's definitely like a whole new perspective, so I recommend you trying this shot. And also, like, since you have a gimbal, you get to move and you get to film, you know, people walking, people running, and it's a completely different perspective, and also the shot you get is absolutely amazing. Movement number 4 is the Parallax. I absolutely love using this movement. I think it's one of my favorite movements. And what it is let's say I'm using the gimbal right now, and the camera right here is my subject. So all I gotta do is go right and make sure my subject is in the center, and then I go left while the camera pans to the right, and then I go left, I pan to the right, making sure the subject is in the center. And it adds this movement, making the subject look like it's moving, but actually the background is moving, and it just adds this like cool movement, this cool angle, and like it just makes it more interesting. And you could also use all of these shots in a drone shot, handheld, a monopod, and also you could just combine all of these shots as well. I will talk about that later. But yeah, essentially like this shot, it just makes it way more interesting. This is one of my go-to movements when I'm like shooting handheld, because it's super easy to do. I either go manual or autofocus depending on the subject, but most of the time I just shoot manual since I have my focus peaking on, and that really helps. So that that way I know that I'm locking in my focus. Movement number 5 is the tilt up. I love using this movement when I want to showcase something tall, whether that's a building, a tree, a bridge, or even a person. You could start from a low angle standpoint and you maybe film like their shoes and then like slowly tilt up. So you literally just combine 2 shots into 1 shot. It's all about like the angles and how you want to tell your story. So all of these movements, all of these angles have a purpose and their own meaning to it. And then it's all up to you, the filmmaker, the cinematographer, the person behind the camera, to utilize these movements to tell your story or to tell your client's story as well. And last but not least, movement number 6 is the truck movement. So essentially what this movement is you're just moving from left to right or vice versa. You're not panning, you're not tilting up, tilting down, you're not doing the parallax. It's simply just moving your camera from left to right, just like this. So you're not panning, you're not tilting, you're just going like this. And I love using this movement when I wanna maybe like reveal something, whether that's a subject, a tree, a car, a building, whatever that may be. I usually put something in the foreground so that way like it looks like it's moving, because if you don't add anything in the foreground, you're not gonna get any difference out of it. It's not gonna look like you're moving at all. Like for example, this shot right here, on the top one there's no foreground, and then the bottom one there is a foreground. And as you can see, on when you add like a foreground, whatever that may be, it could be anything at all, you could tell that I'm creating a movement in this shot. I always like to use a foreground in my shots to make it more interesting and to add more movement. So these are my top 6 shots, movements that I always go to when I'm out shooting for a client or just for fun for these YouTube videos. I always have a shot list, like I need to have a wide to show the scenery, a drone. Maybe you could get away with a drone, but like if I do have my drone with me, I also have a shot list of all the drone shots I want to get. So wide, drone, medium, tight. But I always have all these shots, these movements in mind, or have it in a list, so that way I make sure I have all the shots needed to tell the story. And also it just makes me more organized, knowing that I covered all the shots needed. I personally prefer to overshoot instead of undershoot, and it's good to have options so that way I choose the best of the best footage. Well, that's about it. If you got any value out of this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'm out.